Hi everybody, and welcome to the video. You clicked on the link because you wanted to know what's going to happen to the property market in 2022. We're about to tell you that, but if you really want to know whether our predictions for 2021 were accurate, wait till the end of the video. Here's what we think is going to happen to the property market in 2022, but we'd like to hear your thoughts and your comments, and if you want to leave those in the comments section below, we'll include some of those in our review of 2022 and our predictions for 2023. What is going to happen to the property market in 2022? Well, it's been an interesting time, and many of the pressures that we've seen driving the property market in 2021, the desire for rural or ex-urban property, certainly property with gardens, seems to be continuing, and prices in those areas are holding strong. The inner city apartment market, having suffered quite a significant fall at the start of the pandemic, appears to be slowly recovering. And interestingly, there's a trend to increasing rents, double-digit increases in fact, which may be down to the shortfall of availability of landlords willing to let, but also a change in the demographic caused by the social breakdown post-pandemic. Once lockdown was ended, many couples have separated, leading to a lot more singletons wanting to rent apartments.
Over £2 billion a year is overpaid on stamp duty, with up to a quarter of purchasers paying the wrong amount. From millionaire developers to residential homeowners, anyone may be affected by these errors. Contact us today to see if you have overpaid your stamp duty and owed a refund from HMRC.
But as I said last year, the property market is not of a one, it's a bit like a mix. You have to look at where the property is, and it's certain that at the moment rural properties in the sub 2.5 million bracket are in very, very short supply. Indeed, even smaller properties, 200,000 to 750,000 in or on the edge of villages and small towns in the countryside, estate agents' windows are full of these properties. The bad news is they've all got sold against them. I looked in an estate agent's window in North Leicestershire yesterday, and out of 26 properties in the window, only 3 were actually for sale. And estate agents are complaining about a lack of stock. So what's happened to the new build market? Well, interestingly, the disruption to the global supply chain caused by the pandemic and the closure of the Suez Canal continues. There is still a shortage of building materials, and this has delayed the commencement and indeed the completion of many residential housing projects. Most new developments, but again, particularly those outside cities, are already selling off plan, and even with completion dates as late as May 2022, they are already being sold. So showing a sign of that increased and I think persistent tendency to want a property with gardens, near open spaces and countryside. Now, as I said earlier, demand for inner city apartments has started to increase, but interestingly, that may not be a post-pandemic effect, but rather a geo-economic effect. For years now, we've been told and we've seen evidence that many people with a right to live in this country from Hong Kong have become increasingly unsatisfied with the politics and the interference of Beijing in the affairs of what was supposed to be a semi-independent zone. Many of those people are now looking to relocate to the UK, bringing with them their families, their businesses, and in many cases some of their workers. And we expect that inner city properties, apartments, of a style that the Hong Kong residents are used to living in will be more appealing to them than open countryside. So we can expect city centres to recover in prices and levels of occupancy, but mainly due to what I call the Hong Kong effect. Now, in terms of commercial property, we're already seeing a surge in demand for small shops and small offices outside cities. The tendency to work from home or work from anywhere rather than commute into the cities appears to be persistent. Even those people who have returned to the office are not doing it 5 days a week. Walking around those areas of central London that were normally the hives of office workers, the City, Inns of Court, the footfall, the number of pedestrians on the street is markedly lower. Now, this may be down to a loss of tourism, of course, which has only just been restored in transatlantic terms, but there's clearly a significant number of people who are choosing to spend a majority of their time working from home. And this looks likely to be a long-term and persistent effect. Indeed, we've just seen an advert on a recruitment website saying that people are actually looking for work from home jobs. So it's not going to be a short-term effect, and it could be part of the working pattern of the future, with the consequent effect on commercial infrastructure, offices and support services in city centres. So the question has got to be, what is going to happen to all that vacant office space? Is it going to be converted to new homes using permitted development? Will this trend accelerate? It's been very popular over the last few years as a way of regenerating urban centres, former warehousing, industrial, retail, hotels and offices. And I think it will. And this may in and of itself provide a further economic stimulus to this country. There is, of course, the spectre of inflation and the possibility that interest rates may rise. I actually believe this is a fairly low probability, and if they do rise at all, they'll be fairly modest. The main reason behind the inflation we've seen have actually been supply chain issues, rather than overall demand exceeding available theoretical supply once the world economy gets fully restarted. So now let's chat about the previous video and our predictions for 2021 this year. And let's have a think back. When we shot that video in early 2020, we were into full lockdown, we were all facing massive uncertainty. We had the stamp duty holiday, but we also had mandatory masks, no foreign travel, and all the things that went with the early stages of the pandemic. We were stuck inside. Indeed, most of us had to miss Christmas with our families, and we forget how long that period of isolation was. And that's gone away, but that is what has stimulated the need for gardens and for space and for multi-family living, and depressed the appeal of small cosmopolitan pied-à-terre flats in the centre of our major cities. So let's have a look at our predictions. At the start of 2021, we predicted a price increase, and we were correct. We said that the 2% non-resident surcharge would be a dampener on prices, and it has, albeit it has raised 45 million for the government since its inception in April 2021. We said property prices would stabilise at the end of Q1, slide back on Q2 and then start to rise again. And broadly that's been the position. And we're still seeing upward nudges, but not necessarily at all levels of the property market. Our strongest prediction, the demand for rural properties, was correct and remains correct. So that concludes the video. Remember to hit like and subscribe for more updates. Let us have your thoughts and your comments in the comments section below. And remember, we're not just people who have an opinion on UK property, we're stamp duty experts. And if you are considering a purchase, or indeed have made a purchase in the last 4 years, call us in and ask us what our opinion is of the tax that you will be paying, or should be paying, or indeed have paid. If you've purchased UK property in the last 4 years, whether you're a homeowner, an investor, a trader or a developer, contact us for a free review and we will check to see whether you've overpaid and, if possible, get you the money back from HMRC.